Hi guys, how you all doing? Welcome back to the channel. Here you are, Friday morning, back at the Newcastle United training ground. And yeah, Alexander Isak, the only story in town this morning ahead of Liverpool's visit on Monday, which of course is 3 days away, so we've got a bit of time to go. Firstly, before I get into the video, if you're new to the channel, please do subscribe. Really pleased to get the subscribers up in recent weeks. Leave your comments below as ever, and let us know what you think of the video. Firstly, before I get into it, I did a live on Sky Sports News this morning, 8:15, and I've had 3 texts from 3 friends to say, Keith, you look absolutely awful, you need to get some sleep. That Isak situation is taking its toll, and yeah, I agree with them. I agree with you. I do look like, I feel like, and it's not ideal, is it? It's this transfer window has just dragged on forever. We've still got 10 days to go. I'm fed up talking about this Alexander Isak situation, as I'm sure Eddie Howe is, as I'm sure you guys are. You want to concentrate on the football. It's such a shame that you've got such a big game against Liverpool on Monday under the lights in James's Park, and we're concentrating on this Alexander Isak situation. But maybe once we get today out of the way, we can then over the weekend talk about the football again and build up to the actual match on Monday night. Maybe not a bad thing that Eddie's got sort of 3 days between his press conference and Monday's game against Liverpool. So as I say, yeah, at his news conference today, all the questions, pretty much all of them, fielded towards Eddie regarding the statement that Alex put out on Tuesday night, and also the response from the club. Eddie said that, you know, the response from the club was in this occasion justified. He said it's regrettable it's come to this situation, and he felt that having to deal with it on Tuesday night, it was quite a sad situation. It saddened him, and yeah, like, I have to echo his thoughts there. It is sad that it's come to this situation, and you know, Eddie said a couple of times today in his news conference that he's still got a really good relationship with Alex. He speaks to him a lot. He said he's not seen him the last 5 or 6 days, but last week he saw him a few times. They haven't crossed paths in the training ground. Remember, Isak's of course coming in later on in the day once the rest of the players are away. But Eddie says that by the time Isak arrives and does his own training, he's already in meetings, and he says his days in the afternoon are chaos at the moment. So that's why he's not seen him. But he says, look, he does have a really good working relationship with him, and look, despite all of this, he is an actual proper true professional when it comes to how he looks after himself, his training regime, everything he does to make himself a top player. It's just that, and this is me saying this and not Eddie Howe, it's just the way he has conducted himself over this summer that to me hasn't been professional. I've said it a couple of times already, and I'll say it again. Essentially, going on strike isn't the way to be going about things when you're earning £150,000 a week plus bonuses. Read the room, look at the people in the northeast. People are struggling to put food on the table. Look at the state of the world at the moment with war over in Gaza and whatnot, and you've got a guy unhappy earning £150,000 a week. It doesn't sit well with me, and there's ways of going about it. You know, he could have made it clear he wanted to leave while still remaining professional, while still training, while still making himself available to his teammates. He's not done that. I have to say, if you're a Newcastle player in that dressing room, and you can kind of read between the lines and things that Dan Burn and Anthony Gordon and Bruno Guimaraes and Joe Linton have Gordon and Burn have said, and Joe Linton and Bruno have posted in recent weeks that they are unhappy. They're unhappy with the fact that he's making himself unavailable and disappointed that it has come to this. So look, you can see that it's far from a good situation for anyone involved. Eddie said that, look, it's a sad situation and a bad situation for not just the club but for Alex himself. For me, it's a slight on his character moving forward. Doesn't look good for him in terms of moving potentially to other clubs. If he were to sign for Liverpool, how are they going to view it? If he were to sign for Real Madrid in the future, he's always going to have this kind of stain on his character. And I just find it so sad that just 4 months after scoring the winner in the cup final, bringing tens and tens of thousands of you guys to tears in the stands at Wembley that day, he's now acting in this way. It's an incredible fall from grace that's going to take a lot of getting over, a lot of work, a really huge man management job from Eddie Howe. And as I say, as the days tick on, we're now 10 days away from the transfer window closing. It's becoming increasingly likely, and I said this a few weeks ago, increasingly likely that Isak will be a Newcastle player after the end of the transfer window. Now, does he play? I think everyone thinks he will. I think he will. But look, there is a scenario where he won't play. He might dig his heels in further. I would be surprised if that happened. But it's going to be difficult for him. Like, we see him turning up to the training ground. You know, there's some unsavoury comments from fans, people waiting. We've seen a lot of stuff on social media. I was at a pub quiz the other week, and the name of the pub quiz, the team wasn't good in terms of negative towards Isak. He will be aware of what people are saying about him. Can he bring it back? Yes, he probably can bring it back with goals, but you need to get to the goal scoring stage. What happens between getting back into the team and scoring your first goal? That's not going to be the most comfortable situation for anyone involved. Yeah, look, obviously if he is going to work his way back into the team, there will be an apology, there'll be an explanation, there'll be there'll be words will be said. Eddie will ask everyone to rally round, and that'll probably soften the situation a little bit, but it's still very, very delicate and acute at this moment in time. And Eddie was saying that. I mean, Eddie reckons he can bring him back round. He's done it before. He reckons he can do it again. I personally just think it's going to be a hard task. I mean, not many players have taken it to this extent and this level before. Like, we have seen like Pierre Van Hooijdonk going on strike, and we saw the Sol Campbell situation when he went from Spurs to Arsenal, and there has been some really high profile incidents like this, but I don't think anyone like this that has basically been the main story on every news outlet and every newspaper every day for what seems like weeks now, which is why I'm absolutely shattered. So look, Eddie said he was saddened by what happened during the week, but he was clear. He said, look, he's still a Newcastle player, and he said he wants to get to the end of the window. It'll be relief once he gets to the end of the window, so they can concentrate on the football and they can try and reintegrate him back into the team. So it sounded positive from Eddie. It sounded as though like he's confident that will happen. He wants the player. And look, as I said to a couple of my colleagues in the press conference today afterwards, if you manage to get Johan Wissel over the line, and hopefully we'll have some more news on that later on today, if not tomorrow, if you manage to get him over the line and Isak stays and you get his head into the right space, I know that's not going to be easy, it's going to take time to do that. You've got a really strong squad for this season, a really strong squad. No injuries really other than Joe Willock at the moment, and you've got a chance to really make an impact this season, but a lot of work has to happen between now and then, and it's just a shame that you're not going to have him against Liverpool on Monday. I think you beat Liverpool on Monday. I just can't see how the fans won't allow that. I think you'll be right up for it. Liverpool, you know, they were open on the counter-attack against Bournemouth last Friday. Bournemouth scored a couple of goals. They've not got much in terms of protection for the defence. I just think the crowd will be the 12th and the 13th man on Monday night, and I can't see anything than a Newcastle United result. Probably a victory, at the worst a draw. I definitely think you're going to get something there. But yeah, I feel for Eddie, because he's asking answering loads and loads of questions on this. He did say that there were conversations between himself and Isak towards the end of the season about his future. He didn't confirm it was that he could leave this summer. He did say they had a discussion. But look, as we know, Newcastle have tried to facilitate him. That's why you went for Sesko, that's why you went for Ekitike. It was to allow him to leave, but you've been unable to bring the player in. So if you can't bring the player in, you're not going to allow Isak to leave without a replacement. You're just not going to allow it to happen at all, are you? Sorry, just missing that, getting rid of that call there. So I understand why the club have done what they've done. It's obviously been a bit of a nightmare transfer window. Yes, you've signed well, the squad looks a lot stronger, but there's been so much noise and speculation and drama. Eddie would not have wanted that, and obviously you've missed out on a couple of players, and because you've missed out on a couple, Isak's still here, and you've got this unsavoury situation hanging over the football club. So look, I think Eddie said all the right things. You know, he reckons his teammates will back him when he comes back. He reckons his teammates will welcome him back into the fold, despite them being disappointed with the situation. They'll welcome him back in. They know how good a player he is. And look, I think what he's done hasn't been good, but I don't think that gets away from the fact that they all have got a good relationship with him and have had a good relationship with him. And I think deep down he is a good person. He's just really ambitious, and he obviously feels promises have been broken. But look, I'll say it again, you've got a contract at a football club, you earn a huge amount of money every single week. you need to just knuckle down and play. So let's see what happens. I think Eddie's desperate for the end of the transfer window, so so that puts everything to bed, and then he can get to work on getting Isak's mind into the right place. So I'll be pleased myself when we stop talking about this. Those mates who messaged me were right. I'm absolutely shattered, I'm exhausted, I'm fed up talking about it. Looking forward to the game on Monday. Jacob Ramsey in the squad, no other injuries other than Willock, but he's been back in and doing some training, so the squad looking in a very good place for the visit of Liverpool on Monday night, which I'm expecting to be an absolute raucous atmosphere, and one that will be a pleasure to be at, and hopefully a Newcastle win, and it contributes to what is a so far, despite all the Isak situation, a good start to the season. Remember that. Okay guys, leave your comments below. Speak soon. Cheers.